team.
Hey there guys, this is Malorian, this is the Orc Tactical Team, and today we're going to come back and talk about the Nagash End Times book, and this one here is really going to focus on Nagash himself. Now in the last video, I really talked about how the book was structured, how it kind of really works, really just glossed over the characters to really get into how I think this book is going to affect the meta and how it could really be good or bad. Now, unfortunately, when I did that, I did kind of gloss over the characters too much, and I even messed up some rules, so really big sorry for that. Thank you to those who posted down below in the comments, correcting those mistakes, and what we're going to do today is really focus on Nagash. Now, there are the other characters as well, like Manfred and all the rest of it, but I really feel Nagash is the crown jewel in this book, and one that we really got to kind of look at. So we're going to be going through him now. So he's 1,000 points. The guy is not cheap. He's going to be a huge chunk of your army, but really for his stats, other than movement 6, he's pretty much like 7s across the board. This guy has really solid stats, and they're even beefed up a little bit more too, but we'll get to there. Some of the things that aren't 7s is that his attacks are 6, his initiative is 6, and his leadership is 10. So pretty awesome stat line. I mean, unless you're looking like an emperor dragon or something, this guy is pretty legit. Now, he is a monster. He's going to get the Thunder Stomp and all the rest of it. He is a character, so he can challenge and all the rest of that goodness. He's a level 5, so that's pretty good and powerful. It's not super over the top yet, although let's talk about what lores he has access to. Now, of course, he has the lore of Undeath, and that's the one that he'll be really, really good with, but he also has access to some of the other lores too. He has both the Vampire and the Tomb King lore that he can go to. He can get Death, he can get Light, and yeah, I mean, really when I looked at this, I was wondering, why would he even have access to anything other than Undeath? Undeath is so great for him, and let's get to why that is. He has a rule that's called Supreme Lord of the Undead, and like I said in the last video, the lore of Undeath is really all based about raising units back up. However, it's not really big points, and you have to do it within a foot, so it's really controlled. What this Supreme Lord of the Undead does is it triples the points he can raise and triples the range, and that's huge. So, you know, sometimes you have these characters where it's like, oh, if you take the lore of life, you get +1. And it's like, that's kind of nice. This is definitely pointing you in the way of like, you know what, Nagash is all about the lore of Undeath, and that's what you want to go with. And so again, it's like, well, why do I have access to any other lores when this is so awesome? Looking at some of the other things he has, though, is he's good against magic because, well, first of all, he's protected against miscast, because if you ever miscast, he can re-roll it. So if you ever have that bad miscast where you roll a 1 and or double 1s or whatever, you're going to dimensional cascade, you just re-roll that and you're probably going to be all right. Especially because all the other type of miscasts, let's say it's, oh, everybody in base to base takes a hit, or I do a small template or a large template, Nagash won't be inside of a unit. So a lot of these miscasts do very, very little to him. Another big part of why you're probably going to be miscasting is because you know how normally you're capped at 6 dice? Well, Nagash can do 10 dice. So really, you can force through whatever spell you want, and if you miscast, you can re-roll it. So that's pretty damn nice. One other thing that's kind of good, let's finish the magic part. Now, I said to you, why in the world would you want to take a different lore? Well, here's the reason here, is the fact that he has the 9 books of Nagash, which lets him know 9 spells. So, you know, there's only so many spells in the lore of Undeath. His first one is always going to be the Rise Grave Call, but really what that means is that you have your choice. I mean, you're going to take a lot of this Undeath lore because you want to raise stuff up, but then you get to take it from somewhere else as well. Now, looking at his options, he has Death, he has Light, he has the Tomb King lore, and he has the Vampire Counts lore, and really looking at those, the Vampire lore there's some stuff that's okay in there, but I don't think it's really the one you want to go with. The Tomb King lore could be interesting. Getting extra attacks, adding in Killing Blow, those things could be kind of neat. Plus, as well, those ones there, whenever you cast those spells, remember those could also heal as well. So that could have some little bit there. Lore Light is also nice. Whenever you get your Initiative 1 Undead going to Initiative 10, that's going to be always awesome, or Weapon Skill 10. But the one that I really like is the Lore of Death. Now, with him being a Leadership 10 character, he'll be very, very good for Spirit Leech. So if nothing else, I think I'd always take at least one of your spells from the Lore of Death. And you're allowed to do these in any combination. I mean, you could do 2 from each and then 1 more extra from Undeath. You can spread around all you want. But I'd always take at least 1 in a Lore of Death because that Spirit Leech is so great when you have Leadership 10. And, of course, he'll be really good at killing troops because he himself can hack down the rank and file. But it could be that it's actually, if you want to get dominance in the magic phase, you need to try and kill their casters, right? You want to get rid of their level 4 that's helping to stop your magic. You want to try and get rid of their scroll and all this stuff. Well, you just want to try and irresistible force out again. If you get within range of the level 4 on the other side, they only get to use the scroll, hopefully, because you're going to take up to 10 dice and bam, force that miscast, kill that guy, and then whatever, re-roll the miscast and just be ahead in the magic phase for the rest of the game. And of course, there's death spells that are better than Spirit Leech. So, I mean, it really is going to be up to you, but how you want to do that balance. But I can easily see it being that you're going to go and take, let's say, 5 rolls inside of Undeath, and then put 4 into Death itself. It's just a really, really good, solid lore. I mean, if you want to throw a couple somewhere else, maybe, but that's the way that I really see it. And it's really nice that he has all those options. And when you start looking at things like I said, giving Killing Blow, you got your unit Vargeist out there. It's like, hey, how about you have some Killing Blow as well, right? And it's just, wow, those guys are really crazy now. So, definitely, that's very, very interesting. Another ability he has is the Death Magic Incarnate, which is basically kind of like a double BSB type thing. So normally when things crumble, if you had something like a BSB or one of the new units there, the Morgas, you can reduce that by 1. Well, if you're within 12 inches of Nagash, it's reduced by 2, and this can be in addition to the rest of them as well. Now, this isn't really huge. Really, when you start crumbling, it's to the point where you're probably going to lose anyway. But it's something that's just nice, right? And it's a reason why maybe Nagash shouldn't be all the way back. Maybe you want to have him a little bit farther back to the front. But it's just a little nice thing that he has in there. He also has a 4+ armor and a 4+ ward. So the guy's really, really solid. What he's also able to do, and this is something I kind of messed up from the last one, is that you can save 4 dice, power dice, and in the combat phase, you can use those to change attacks into Heroic Killing Blow. Now, I don't think this is really needed because his weapon does +1 strength, so he's going to be strength 8, plus he does a D3 wound special rule, so against monsters, you're going to be kind of wrecking them anyway, so I don't think you really need the Heroic Killing Blow, but hey, if you do your magic and you just really don't need these dice and you really need this character or this monster dead, okay, let's save 4, we'll make 4 of your 6 attacks Heroic Killing Blow, and we'll make sure this guy hopefully goes down. Again, I don't really like it. His magic is so strong that you would think that you get more done with those 4 dice than making 4 dice Heroic Killing Blow. I mean, you have to hit and you have to roll that 6. And so the odds of that are just so small, I just wouldn't really even bother with this. Now, again, I touched on this last time as well, and I want to do another correction. He does not have flight. The other characters do have flight. This guy, he's a large target. He has terror. He's undead, but he does not fly. He still is pretty fast because he's movement 6, but you can actually find Nagash getting trapped by redirectors because you can run up your wolves or whatever and say, hey, if you want to go from where you are, you're going to have to deal with this little tar pit first. So that is something he has to deal with, but really this guy still is a pretty big combat monster, and in the end, the biggest thing that's going to threaten him is stuff like cannons. So he's going to want to get into combat probably pretty quick. Something easy, you don't want to be running into a big unit of black orcs or something like that, but you do want him in a spot where he can raise up his units, which is actually pretty easy because you got 3 feet to be doing that. You want to keep him pretty safe because you don't want him to get charged by something stupid and then lose him. But at the same time, you might want to try and find the easy combats to work yourself into, to protect yourself from shooting, and then from there, you can be raising your stuff on the outside. So the biggest thing here, and why I say that he's really the crown jewel, is that the undead army here, where you get the mix of the vampire counts and also the Tomb Kings, it really is a very interesting army. It gives you a lot more combinations, but it's really Nagash with his triple amount and triple range that can really bring up enough troops that you can really push this to 11, where all of a sudden I'm going and I'm raising these massive units, and the rest of my army can hide. They can just stay back. And in fact, whereas I'd seen in some of the armies so far, where they had taken ghouls and stuff like this, you know what? The rest of your army should probably be stuff like skeleton archers and maybe some skelepults or something like that. And they're just going to stay back, and they're going to do all their damage from hiding on the backboard edge. And meanwhile, it's only Nagash that's going forward, raising up units, because these are all worth 0. And when you're doing this with one of the other characters, it's not that big of a deal because, oh no, you raised up 100 points of skeletons. Okay, they're dead. Let's move on. But this guy here, Nagash, can really raise up solid units and do the work himself as well. So a little bit of risk. Maybe I should say a lot of bit of risk, because if Nagash dies to cannons on turn 1 or something, you're 1,000 points down and you basically lost the game. But for the most part, this is probably the real thing that really is going to be pushing like I said, you can either go and just like mix up your units. This, I feel, is the really true new element. It's something that we haven't really dealt with before, right? Mixing up and having, skeletons and Tomb Kings, okay, but really having to deal with this skew. It's almost like the avoidance skew, where you have the wood elves avoiding you. It's almost like the ethereal skew, where you better have magic weapons or else you're screwed. It's really a whole separate play style that you have to be prepared for. And knowing that you might be going in there, and I'm going to kill all these guys, and these guys, and these guys, but they were all raised and worth 0. So really, I think the person who it plays very carefully and knows how to use Nagash very well, knows how to redirect very well, can be almost unbeatable. I mean, of course, that's not a term you want to throw around just loosely, but you would be a very, very strong player. And a lot of times it's almost like the avoidance. It's so silly because you're not really avoiding, right? You're saying, oh, here's some crypt horrors right in your face, right? Here's all these blood knights right in your face. So you're not really avoiding, but all the stuff you're putting in front of them is worth nothing. So really crazy, really powerful, really awesome model too. I mean, GW, this thing is off the wall. If you ever saw the old Nagash, or if you haven't seen it, Google that thing. It looks like a clown. It was the worst model GW ever made for a long time. And now the new Nagash model, this thing is amazing. So there you go. There's Nagash. I'm still trying to find a game against the guy. But either way, I'm sure it's going to be pretty frustrating. And for those of you out there who have Nagash, enjoy. And we'll catch you later. Bye.